when you pull on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head.
And here we go.
And it is no good. He missed it. Are you kidding me? The season can't end like that.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms, bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
So how about I unmute myself and start actually talking? Welcome to another edition of NETMA here on this Thursday evening. I'm your host, Tyler Falk. Glad to have you along with us for the ride. On Thursday, I had to cancel yesterday's show, push it back to today due to life situations, and, well, such is life. We adapt and overcome depending on what situations may be thrown at us. I know of recently the hurricane turned tropical storm, now I think tropical depression at this point, has wreaked havoc on the West Coast, which has impacted a number of our members in the league. So shout outs and condolences to all of you that have gone through a pretty traumatic time, some losing, some others losing everything. Name that comes to mind is, of course, Jacob, owner of the Portland Fleet, who lost everything, or nearly everything, in the disaster that was this really freak of nature. Not often do we see hurricanes, tropical storms hit the West Coast, and some of the photos are quite heartbreaking. So shout outs to Jacob, shout outs to everybody over there on the West Coast today as they continue to recover. So a lot of us dealing with other things. We just have to remember that each day, it just depends on the person. Each day could be that person's worst day. From extremely traumatic in some eyes to, in some people's eyes, not very major, but to that person it's major. And so we take every bit of seriousness when talking about what has happened to people, how big or small. So that's my little anecdote for not just mental health, but well-being as well. And keep your heads up is the big question, especially now through 4 weeks of the regular season. Some teams are on a very massive high. Alamo City, Florida on a massive high. Other teams dealing with a whole bunch of trouble. Mexico City in particular, Atlanta in particular, Indianapolis in particular, not having the season they would have liked. But we come to a quarter season Carnival. We tend to do this every back when it was only a 12-week season. It was super nice. We do it after week 3. Now we kind of have to make it up, whether or not it's week 3 to do it or week 4 to do it. While some teams might call this the third season Carnival? I don't know. You come up with the tri-season Carnival. You guys make up the tri version, the third version. But I'm still gonna call it the quarter season Carnival, and we'll go from there. What is the quarter season Carnival? If you ask yourselves, it's not necessarily an official award you might get, but I take a look at who's impressed me, who's done quite well, who needs maybe a kick in the shorts for one or two folks, but most of it's good. Most of it's good news, which is always good to see. So let's dive deep into it. I mean, obviously, in my personal opinion, the best offensive performer through a quarter of the season has to be Colin Hart. 15 total touchdowns, which leads all the SFL. 14 rushing, 1 receiving touchdown. He has been honestly on fire. Honestly been one of the hottest players this season. Already closing in on 1,000 yards, 925 yards through 4 games. If there was a player to breach the 2,000 yard mark, it's probably going to be Colin Hart by, at this rate, weeks 9, 10, or 11 is when Colin Hart will break the 2,000 yard rushing barrier, which will be a massive, massive implication for this league and where this league is headed. But Colin Hart, my offensive player of the season. As far as rookie goes, I mean, you look no further than Type Attack, who has done a phenomenal job for Seattle, and I gave Seattle a little bit of grief for not the best overall quarterback to take on the draft board. Well, he has certainly proven to be a top performer in all senses of the word. 1,100 and then some passing yards. 9 total touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He has kept it rather clean, and then he likes to run the ball. He adds another wrinkle to an offense. No rushing touchdowns yet, but we saw a lot in week 1 or in the preseason where he was just running the football and providing a lot of spark. Only 4 rushes for him when he was in Seattle. Again, another wrinkle. But his QBR is another a very good QBR in general for Type Attack. The best rookie in terms of offensive players. Now we move on to defense, and this is where things start to get a little bit wonky. Because for those that don't know, the website, the new and improved website is fantastic. It has a few kinks. Now, there are some players that will not load up into the stats section. If you look at the leaders section on the SFL website, you only notice 100 players on that list. And so if you have very low stats, you're not going to show up on that list. You will show up in the player tab, though, in your own individual player tab. So it's really only taking that big old chunk of players. And so some of these stats will look a little weird. And if you have more stats than the people I'm about to mention, say something. But I think the people I'm going to mention here for defensive side of the football, I think will speak for themselves in that regard. So my defensive player of the quarter season at the moment is Ryan Tobin. He is tied for first in terms of TFLs with Dexter Jackson, with 9 total TFLs. The big difference for him, though, is he's done that in 3 games compared to Dexter Jackson's 4. Another big reason, Dexter Jackson has 2 sacks. Ryan Tobin, through 3 games instead of 4, has 2.5 sacks and an interception. He might have 10 less tackles. Again, he has played 1 less game than Jackson. But I think you can prove Florida would be in a different spot without him. And another man I'll mention here in just a second. But Ryan Tobin, ladies and gentlemen, I think, has done a phenomenal job for Florida on that defense, on the outside of that linebacking core, and has really provided a spark. Now, for the defensive rookie of the quarter season, I couldn't decide on one. I had to pick two, and here is why. I'm going to go back to Ryan Tobin here real quick. Ryan Tobin combined with Leon Thunderman combined have the most TFLs in the league with 16 combined TFLs between two players. The next closest pairing in the SFL at the moment is two rookies. And they are from Sioux Falls. That's Marcus Benson and Stuart Gotts. And when looking through all of this the last couple of days, I was actually kind of shocked because Benson is a number 9, was pick number 93, which is a round 4, and Stuart Gotts is a round 3 pick number 66. But if we know anything about that Sioux Falls franchise, is they can form great defensive players. And Marcus Benson and Stuart Gotts have done a phenomenal job. Combined this season, they have 13 TFLs, which is second most with 2 players combined in the SFL. No sacks between the two of them just yet. There are a couple of rookies that have picked up sacks. But these linebackers are trying to keep Sioux Falls strong. They are trying to keep Sioux Falls competitive in that Central Division. Yes, the Sioux Falls might only have 1 win. And they might have given up a whole lot of points. But it would look a whole lot worse if Benson and Gotts were not in the linebacking core for Sioux Falls. So those are your defensive rookies of the regular season. Let's get to the bad news next. Unfortunately, I have to say that shockingly the surprise team that needs a little bit of kick in the shorts is Atlanta. And yes, they looked pretty strong 2 weeks ago. Hopefully here when they play Carolina this weekend, they come out strong and maybe get their first win of the regular season. But Atlanta going from number 1 overall seed to dropping their first 3 is not the look you would like to take. Best team of the regular season. Here's the good news: is Florida, in my personal opinion. The Florida Storm. Again, I mentioned Tobin, and I didn't mention Bullet Boletsky back when I was talking about best player. He's right behind Colin Hart, but that Minnesota offense to me, or that Florida offense to me, looks to be clicking on all cylinders. It has been fun to watch for Florida. A lot of people were doubting my predictions, saying they could win the championship. Right now, they look like championship caliber, and a chance to really knock Baltimore off their pedestal. Okay, some housekeeping notes. I did mention a few days ago that NETMA will be starting to branch out. I'm probably releasing some content relating on Starfield. Start doing a little bit of gaming here. Maybe not here on YouTube, maybe over on Twitch we'll do some gaming. More information to come later here in the show, but right now we'll hit our first break of 3 this evening before we come back with a full Week 4 recap here on NETMA, otherwise known as Nobody Ever Tells Me Anything, with your host Tyler Falk. We will be back here in just a moment. Welcome back to segment number 2 here on the program, otherwise known as NETMA. I am your host, Tyler Falk. Glad to have you with us here on this Thursday evening. Special shout outs to everybody who has joined us live and is trying to chat here. We a couple answers from my LO earlier. That's Frosty Dimes, Ron Haynes video over there as well. Eddie Gage is in there, aka the Arizona Scorpions. Robert Brady Jr. says Denver's rookie defense is the best. They really have kept them competitive 2-2 for Denver after week 4. And Christian Bachgalupe, do it on YouTube. It's all good. Is there a NETMA Twitch channel? Well, there was when I first started doing all this before I switched over to YouTube because of Twitch's weird broadcasting rights. But here's the big question. Do I start doing gaming on this channel or make a separate NETMA gaming channel? Love to hear your guys' thoughts. Also, while we're getting closer to it, the People's Presser segment's coming up just around the corner, and need some questions. I need to answer a few of your questions on just anything about the SFL, anything about what's going on with NETMA, or you have it. It's the People's Presser. You guys ask me all your SFL related questions. I will go ahead and answer them. That's the People's Presser coming up here in the next segment. But right now, it's the quick rundown of week 4. So we start off in Minnesota, great state of Minnesota, land of 10,000 lakes, home of hockey. Also the home of really good defense at home. Minnesota Legend continue their dominance at home, knocking off the Sparrows 34-19 in a very impressive show. It was good to hear Brett Solberg, my usual broadcast partner, go get some play-by-play action as well. So really happy to see him have a few decent calls. You want to go check out the highlights of that one. Brett, I think he did a phenomenal job. Huge kudos for him stepping in in my absence and teaming up with a really good analyst in Eddie Gage, the Hall of Famer. On to Queen City in Charleston, the Corsairs. You can drink that spoiled milk. Queen City, the streak is over. You've got a crooked number in the win column. It's for Queen City. 44-24, the win over Charleston as Corsairs finally get the win. Lakeman comes home back to Queen City as Trellis Blanton, the Seattle product, has a very solid day. 1 touchdown, kept it clean. Only was sacked once as he leads the Corsairs to victory. And I should also say Jet Zero, who led the Corsairs to victory. The other big thing to note here after week 4, quick side note before we get to the rest of the games, is the league just announced a bunch of names that do not have an active subscription. And those names will not be able to progress, and B, will be put on an inactive list, unable to participate in games. And of course, this was all pre-mentioned, the punishments and everything, if you didn't have a subscription way back in phase 3 of the rollout procedure of this new era of the SFL. Here are the names of people that don't currently have a subscription that are in trouble and possibly might be going on this inactive list. From Atlanta, Mitchell O'Brien, the fullback. From Canton, 2 names. Ace Singletary, the linebacker, and Toronto Rivera, the fullback. Carolina has 1. That's Christopher Colon, the defensive end. Charleston has 2. DeBrickshaw Molino. I think that's Molino or Molinex. And Jamarcus, the 4th junior, also from Charleston. Say that 5 times fast. Houston's Goldie Morrison. Indianapolis, Angel Maldonado. Los Angeles has 4 players. Logan Jack, Ryan Proster, TD Jack, and Terrence Weary. Las Vegas with 2, Dustin McRack, the punter, the former All-Star on the list here. Ron O'Mac Donos, the tight end from Las Vegas. Mexico City has Antoine Joe. Portland has Louis Negron. Queen City with 4, Adrian Ellis, Greg Gaines, Jet Zero, and Todd Rigsbury. That's why I mentioned Jet Zero that earlier. Seattle, Ethan Kai. Sioux Falls, Jay Ringgold. Tulsa, Nano Matthews. Vancouver with 3, Austin Blanco, Sawyer Storn, and Will Stern. Stearns not on that already. Their player is unable to participate on the field until they get their subscriptions renewed. Do real people need to be put on post publicly about this? It's a public list. It's like an inactive list for the NFL. It's not really to put people on blast. It's more so to inform them that, hey, you need to put in your subscription. So to say it's being putting on blast, no, I'm not saying they're in the fault for not knowing your subscription is expiring. I'm saying that, hey, as a helpful reminder, get your subscription in if you would still like to participate. So if they don't want to participate, because I already know that one of these players is no longer a part of the league, and that's Indianapolis' Angel Maldonado is not there, and it is publicly posted as well, mentioned by Eddie Gage as well. So it's not like they're saying, here are the people on the chopping block, but it seems like sharing them in front of everyone. Yes, because it's like an IR list. It's just like any other list. How are teams going to know who they should be game planning for or not? Because if you're game planning for, let's say, Jet Zero, for example, and all of a sudden Jet Zero's not out there because he doesn't have his subscription, well, half your game plan is screwed. So it helps coaches know that these people don't have a subscription, A, for the team that they're a part of and the teams that are trying to game plan for them. Not necessarily to say, you're bad, you're in trouble, do better. No, that's not the purpose of this, not the purpose of the league thing. I think, Dwayne, you have a solid opinion, but I think it's just the wrong one, in my personal opinion. Anywho, back to the games here real quick, after that quick tangent that turned into a little bit more extensive one. So we talked about Sioux Falls, Minnesota. We talked about Corsairs finally getting their first victory. All of a sudden, we start talking about Louisiana. Another unfortunate game for them as they fall to DC by 7. They're just right there, man. They're just right there. They can't seem to catch a break. Denver and Portland, a solid game. And Robert Brady Jr. was also mentioning that Denver's rookie defense played very well. Well, they beat Portland in a surprise slugfest over in that game. As Arizona, meanwhile, continue on their comeback trail and take down Indianapolis. Seattle and Los Angeles, 35-21. Seattle, of course, take down LA. As we hit Sunday's games, Houston and Alamo City. Houston and Alamo City played a very solid game, and all of a sudden Alamo City comes away with another victory. They keep their perfect season alive, and Baltimore continues their resurgence, 30-18 over Canton, as that North does not look dominant whatsoever. As Vancouver and Mexico City, and all I gotta say for the Aztec fans, pain. Dwayne Shin. Dwayne, I see your point. Announcing it across a public YouTube channel. The league announced it to a private Discord server. A private Discord server, you call the League Alerts channel of the SFL a private Discord server. No. That is public knowledge for the entirety of the SFL. For those that want to be a part of the SFL, they see that. So it's a public Discord channel. It's a public Discord server. Dwayne, if you want to jump on the show, we could hash this out here in the next segment, because I completely disagree with you. It's public knowledge. It's a list just like any other league would have. It is a list that the entire league has access to. So by me saying something about it and just saying exactly what's on the list, how am I putting anyone on blast? I'd love to hear your opinion on that, because I don't get it. Is it because you're on the Motor City cheats and expect me to bend over backwards for everything you say? Or is it because that just because you don't like my opinion. I don't get it. I honestly don't get it, Dwayne. So, I'm getting a little salty. It's been a rough day. It's been a rough day. I didn't want to have to talk about the Motor City situation for a third week in a row. I didn't want to have to bring up anyone. I didn't want to have to name slam or anything, but honestly, yeah, I went there. Because in my personal opinion, you didn't do the correct thing. Yes, the league gave you a choice, and I told everyone my feelings about that. But honestly, there's a reason why there's going to be an asterisk next to your team's name, and there's going to be an asterisk next to your record because you guys cheated to win. Everyone knows you cheated to win. And the fact that you can't publicly say that I cheated to win is completely ridiculous. That's it. I'm done. I'm done with that situation. Until things change, I don't want to call a Motor City game. I don't want to call a Motor City game until the situation in Motor City changes. Until they publicly come out, because they still haven't released a damn apology. It's been a public notice by the league, but Motor City hasn't released an apology in 2 damn weeks. It shows what kind of culture is there in Motor City. And frankly, it's disgusting. I feel bad for the players on that team. I feel bad for the Northrops. I feel bad for Detroit in general. No, he didn't yell and swear at me. So that I do apologize for. I got a little heated. It's been a rough day, and I shouldn't have gone that far. Could have gone this about a different way. Just not having the best day. We'll come back in after break. I can decompress, and we'll move on. People's Press are coming up next. Welcome back to Nobody Ever Tells Me Anything That Tyler Can Go Off and Go Crazy Sometimes. I'm your host, Tyler Falk. We now go to the People's Presser segment after that segment. Yes, it's been hot and humid in here, Ron. You know all too well, being here in Missouri. Again to Motor City, to Dwayne, to them. I can get pretty hot when I'm passionate about something, just like anybody else can. It does not give me the right to swear on air. It does not give me the right to name call. So I apologize here and now for my action in the last segment. Moving on, People's Presser. The only question I've got currently here at the moment is, now that Queen City has the monkey off their back, looking at their schedule moving forward, can they make a run to be part of the playoff picture? Any team has that. Queen City's been looking for something positive. They finally got their win. Let's take a look at Queen City's schedule, shall we? Coming up for the Corsairs, they've got Motor City next on the road. Let's see, 27th. So that is Sunday, if I do my math correctly. In Detroit, I think they can take that game. Then they play against Louisiana, who's just been one possession away from really been iffy, but also strong. I give. Because they have the rest of that division to go through, and then they've got Baltimore late, Canton nearly 2 weeks in a row, Atlanta, who's struggling, Jacksonville, who's up and coming. They're going to have to play at their best a whole bunch of the time. They're going to have to play a lot. Every team. I need some Benny Hill music instead of whatever this is. But I can say that they've got maybe 6-6 is in their pocket. 6-6 is doable for Queen City. Being in the playoffs, I wouldn't. It's a long shot for the playoffs for me at this point. But I think they could be in the mix for 6-6. That's what I can give Queen City here at the moment. I think they can beat Motor City twice. I think they can beat Canton twice. That already puts them at 5. Hipping maybe getting one surprise win for me, I think, would probably be Atlanta late or Louisiana early. Would get them 6-6. So I think Queen City maybe goes 6-6. Not making the playoffs, but in the mix for 6-6. Back to Bragg follows up with Queen City's win. Who is most likely to be the next team to go on a huge losing streak? Ooh, I like that question a lot. I mean, we're already seeing it, unfortunately, with the Aztecs. 0-4. Losing Fox Highwind. No, not Fox Highwind. Not Fox. Phoenix Jones. There we go. Phoenix Jones, not Fox Highwind. That's, I think, a few seasons ago. But losing Phoenix Jones. The offense struggling. The defense letting up the second most points in 4 games, right in front of Indianapolis. I think I think we're already seeing it. I think it's Mexico City, unfortunately. And they got a great organization over there, a solid foundation over there, and I think we see Mexico City go on a huge losing streak. I don't think they'll go 0-12 like Queen City, but I think they're in for a long spell of losses unless things change. Any changes to my preseason predictions? Well, obviously, Atlanta has drastically fallen off at the moment, though they have a shot to really come back and do some damage now that I think they've got some stuff figured out. Motor City has 2 wins already, asterisks on the 2 wins. So I gotta find my predictions. There they are. I predicted Atlanta to finish 6-6. I think they can still do that. It's a tough spot for them right now. My prediction for Baltimore's current record is right where I predicted to it, 2-2 through 4 games. Now they lost to Carolina instead of winning, and they beat Louisiana, which I had those results flip-flop. But Baltimore is 2-2. I've got Baltimore spot on, which is quite surprising in my personal opinion. Charleston 4-8. I think that's right there. DC up and down a little bit, but I think they're fine. Florida's right where I predicted to them. Big surprise, I think, is Anna, who I predicted at 7-5. These first couple losses for them, I think, are going to be really. It hurts. It hurts right now for Louisiana. On to a couple others. Fort Worth 4-8. That's gone out the window. They're already 3-0 at this point and playing really strong. Houston, I predicted 4-8. They're also playing real strong. The only real change is Mexico City at 5-7 for that division. Indianapolis, Sioux Falls. Any predictions I would change? I wouldn't change my predictions because they're predictions, but I'll post. Here's what I'll do. Here's what I'll do since we've got it in here. I will share the unedited preseason my preseason predictions in the lounge section of the NETMA Discord server. Link to which is down below in the description. Link to the SFL YouTube and SFL website is also down below. Unfortunately, how am I not able to? There we go. All right, so you guys can check out my preseason predictions, but I think they're okay this season. The full list. All right. Back to show questions. All right. How much do you hate being on a bye week? I don't. It gives us an extra week to prepare for our next opponent. For Indianapolis, that's Fort Worth, and we're going to need all that preparation because Fort Worth is a very good team, obviously. But they're a great team. We're going to need that extra week, so I don't hate it. I do not hate it in the slightest that we are on a bye week whatsoever. And I think every team is realizing that. We take a look at even Vancouver and Las Vegas, who had a week to prepare for that Monday night game 2 weeks ago at this point. But the reason why it was so low scoring and the reason why we're seeing some closer Monday night games, we just take a look at this past Monday night game, for example. It's because they've got each other more dialed in, a better chance to really figure out each other in that regard. So bye weeks are a blessing for every team. Now the counter argument, the devil's advocate argument to that is we're not playing this week. We don't get to see our team play this week. And means we're game planning every single week. It means we're doing something every week, and it's good for any team. That bye week gives you a chance to stretch out your game plan just a little bit. Instead of having a few days to prepare, you have, a good chunk of time. So if you can plan, especially for IRL things, you can plan, hey, I want to take tonight off from game planning. I want to spend time with my family that I, maybe not would normally do, but that's exactly what you should be doing, is taking a little extra time to do the things you need to do. That's what a bye week helps you to do. Where else we got questions? Where else do we got questions, huh? Did I miss any questions here in the YouTube chat? Let's see. I'm not seeing a whole bunch here at the moment. Who has one of those? Says Christian Bacigalupe, a real life. Maybe, I don't know. Let's see. Okay, some new team news that came in from Queen City. There are questions in chat. All right, I'll get to them. The Corsairs like to announce that effective immediately, Alex Marshall has been named Director of Player Personnel and Quality Control Coordinator. I see what they did there. QCC. He's the QCC in QCC. Congratulations to Alex Marshall, who just did a fantastic interview with Ashley Jackson, which aired Monday night on PGI. Or PGI. There we go. That's probably better the way you want to do it. All right. Questions in chat. There's questions in the chat where Robert Thump had a couple. Here we go. Robert Thump. Is the SFL gonna give a slap on the wrist? The rest of the people got to hold them accountable. Shouldn't be sorry. I mean, they gave him a $100 fine. They gave Motor City the choice of a $100 fine and getting and removing Drew Reilly as coach, and they chose the financial option as well instead of the removal of the coach, which is what I have a problem with which I talked about last week on this show, which you can check out here on YouTube, and other stuff like that. But that's been pretty well discussed at this point. Playoffs and overall record. Has your mind changed on the Nightwings? I said the Nightwings would go, I think I said 4-8. Now, they're a young team. They are a young team. So there's a lot of unknowns about Denver. So for me, 4-8 is a good benchmark. Anything more than that, a 5-7, 6-6, or anything more than that, I think is a massive accomplishment for Denver. Getting everybody situated, getting everybody in the same frame of mind for one goal for that team. And the real question for me is if they can continue to build with that foundation, I think they'll have a shot of doing well. Another random question real quick from Tita Queen. Does the league count the yards by generic players toward total yards of the game? Yes. Most of the time. Unless a generic quarterback throws a pass, it will not be collected at this current time. Cameron Irvine might have a better answer to that, but that is the answer that I have or I have seen. All right, final segment coming up here just after the break. 5x5 and lightning round. When we come back, this is NETMA.
There's a distance between us. It's getting hard to reach out. Haven't seen you in seasons, but all I hear is your voice. I know my limits, you can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line. And I've been counting minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again. And I've been counting days to get away, to see
Welcome back to the program, otherwise known as NETMA, fourth and final segment. I am your host, Tyler Falk. DJ The Myth says, I missed it. Well, you certainly missed some explosions here in segment number 2. You can watch back the show at your leisure later here on YouTube. I'm sure there'll be plenty of clips of what I said and how I said it. I'll leave it at that as well. All right. Back to Dwayne says generics count towards team stats. Thank you, Dwayne. Because I honestly didn't know 100%, because when I was looking at the because we don't really have backups. We don't really have a chance to see backup quarterbacks like we did see in massive blowout games in the past eras. It's all been a starting quarterback or starting quarterbacks in a dual quarterback system that have contributed to the passing yards. Now, Dwayne, I'd be curious to know, and maybe you can help me out with this, do they count generic running back numbers? Because I don't know if they do in that regard. Because when I take a look, for example, I take a look at the box score of one of these games. Let's get to one of these games, shall we? Let's get the box score of the Toros. They only have the final score in the summary, and they go over to team stats, but they only have the players on there. So, Dwayne, maybe you can help me out with that and get me a... it still counts as the team stats? Okay. All right. We'll run with that. Thank you, Dwayne. So to answer the question from earlier, to provide T to Queen, good to see you, T. Yes, they do count them. But I do know if they're not, because I know in the previous era, we were able to really control all the stats we got in there. Now with Football Shift, they're a great company. We're not able to control as much, but Cam keeps all the screenshots of all the stats from game in, game out. So if there is a discrepancy, Cam has the numbers to get it back in there. Okay, quickly, 5x5 power rankings. For those of you that saw last week and are in the top 12, we won't be talking about you too much, and you'll see why here in a second. I had to make a couple changes. Unfortunately, the Aztecs, they fall to, dead last. Some more pain to heap on them, unfortunately. Just unable to put up a defense against Vancouver. The Legion were able to walk all over them, and I'll leave it at that for Mexico City. I hope brighter days are ahead for the Aztecs, for that organization, for that team. But for right now, it has not been their season. Second team that I'm going to talk about real quick is the Denver Nightwings. I have them moving up, and I'm moving up by a good substantial margin. Here's why. That defense, Robert Brady Jr. mentioning that defense and coming in the clutch late in the game to really solidify that mark and take down a really good Portland team who put up a good fight. And that's where I continue on to Portland. They do move down, but not as much because they did play very well. This weekend on that regard. As far as what they need to do is what does Portland need to do to win more games is just solidify that defense just a touch and they'll be fine. That's my opinion. On to I said we wouldn't talk about a couple of teams, but I'm gonna rope in two of these teams as well. Is Houston and Alamo City. Are two teams. Alamo City were number 2 last week. They're going to be number 2 this week. I still have high hopes for Florida. I still think they're going to win the ship. But Houston and Alamo City played a very, very solid game. Yes, Houston didn't score over 20 points. It was, but they kept it close. Scoreline is not indicative of how that game went. It was close to the very end. until the defense came away with a crucial turnover. I think there was also a pick six. There were a couple of big pick sixes this weekend. But again, these two teams don't, I think for Alamo City, they need Florida to mess up next weekend in order for me to put them number one. For Houston, it shows that I was wrong to doubt them early on by putting them lower in the power rankings. So speaking of them power rankings, here we go. Here are all 12 seeds on the regard. Atlanta moves up, a solid performance, even though they're 0-3. Strongest team out of the bunch. Tulsa played very well and nearly beat Houston, but I think arguably they're both tied for 25th. Arguably they're both tied for 25th in that regard. As well as a couple other teams on the move. Las Vegas, unbeknownst to me, a very shockingly good defense. One of the least amount of points, in fact, the least amount of points given up through 3 weeks. I think they only have let up 37 points on defense, which is the best in the league. Alamo City has beaten better teams than one in terms of strength of schedule. Yes. Fair. Florida's has looked dominant in those wins. Houston's had to fight, and yes, you could say a fight's better than looking dominant, and we'll see here soon. But right now I'm going Florida. Right now I'm going Florida as number one because I think that offense is too good right now. They are too good right now to pass up. And once they start hitting the teeth of their schedule, which is coming up for Florida, things might change. But that is where everybody sits. That's going to go into the NETMA Discord server, into in the Power Rankings channel here just after the show. Link to which is down below in the description of this video. All right. Time for a lightning round, which means I got to quickly switch over to start taking a look at Week 5's Who You Got and start going over my pick'ems. Well, that's not right. That's not right at all. That's not right at all. Let's hold on for just a second, folks. We'll get this started. All right. Properties. All right. Now we quickly go to pick'ems here in week number 5. All right, DC Baltimore. Baltimore was getting the short end of the stick versus DC. Baltimore at home. SGO. It's tight. I'm going back with Baltimore here on this one. Louisiana and Jacksonville. Jacksonville are tough. Louisiana, something's got to give. Something's got to give for the Revs. I think they continue to fall just short of a few teams. Charleston, they're facing against Florida, and in Florida right now look very dominant. I'm going with them. Vancouver, Arizona. This is going to be a game to watch this weekend. The Scorpions and Legion. Vancouver look good against Mexico City. How will they go up against them? A much tougher opponent with Arizona at Fatality Field. I'm going Arizona in this one. Just because it's going to be tough. I think it's a 7-point margin between Eddie's Arizona. I love y'all, and Eddie's and Andy's crew. So Mexico City and Tulsa. Tulsa looked pretty good on Monday. I've got to give it to Tulsa. Who beat Arizona week 1? Let's see here. I'm trying to remember who they played. Arizona beat San Diego. Not the other way around. Arizona lost to Seattle last week. That's why they're 3-1. Portland, Las Vegas. Las Vegas has a really good defense. Portland at home, though. I'm going Portland in this one. I'm going underdog in this one, and because I think the Fleet need a win after what happened on the West Coast to Jacob. They need a little pick-me-up. I think they've got this one. Carolina, Atlanta. Atlanta rebounds. They get their first win of the regular season. I think they've got this one in the bag. Queen City and MCC. will go Queen City in this one. Queen City's rule continues. They look very strong against Charleston. I think they continue against Motor City, and Motor City goes back to an even 500 with an asterisk. Fort Worth and Houston, Toros and Headhunters. This is going to be another good game. This is going to be a good game to watch, and I am going Houston to finally put a dent into Fort Worth perfect season. I'm having second thoughts. I'm having second thoughts. I'm going Fort Worth instead. That's how close this game is going to be. I'm going Fort Worth instead. Real quickly, San Diego and Denver. Denver's defense. San Diego has not looked good against good defenses this season. I got to go Denver in this one. Los Angeles and Alamo City. Unfortunately, Sully, yes, I know you're trying, but Alamo City's taking this one. So all the unbeatens will stay unbeaten going into week 6. All right, there's your pick'ems. Baltimore, Jacksonville, Florida, Arizona, Tulsa, Portland, Atlanta, Queen City, Fort Worth, Denver, and Alamo City. That's your pick'ems going into week number 4. All right, what did I miss? Got 3 minutes, 27 seconds left in the lightning round. I know I missed something. Who has Seattle beat? They have beaten Arizona. Seattle has beaten Arizona. I think they've also beaten Portland. Yes, they beat Portland. Okay. Come on, give me... Seattle has beaten Los Angeles, Arizona, and Portland. They lost to 3 versus Fort Worth. That is what they have... that's the team they have lost to. Another quick question came in. What's my favorite food? I don't know really how to describe it, but smothered chicken. Now, it's oven baked smothered chicken, so it isn't smothered in cheese, but it's, take a can of cream of mushroom soup with a couple other things. You pour it over some chicken breasts. You throw that in the oven. You let that cook. You take it out. I get some garlic mashed potatoes. Put that through a fine mesh sieve to really, really mash them potatoes to get them to near liquid, not really near liquid consistency, but a really smooth mashed potato consistency. Top that with some, top both with a little bit of parsley, garlic parmesan mashed potatoes, I should also say, and then get some steamed asparagus in there as well. So that's my favorite food right there, our favorite meal in general, right there. Let's see, what else? What else did I miss? Got about 30 seconds before I start wrapping up the show. Who has Florida beat? Florida has taken down... Oh, I gotta go to this quick. I'm here on the Sonic. Dun 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 dun. Oh, maybe that's Batman. Who knows? Florida has beaten their all 3 opponents. They have beaten Atlanta, Queen City, and Baltimore in the first 3 games. 2 of those teams have a few losses. Baltimore is 2-2. And that is going to do it for a very fiery, a very explosive Week 4 edition, quarter season Carnival version of NETMA. If you want to catch up more episodes of the program, check them out right here on YouTube. If you want to know more info about NETMA, it is not released at the SFL on the SFL Discord server. I keep that on the NETMA Discord server to alleviate everyone's all the clutter that can potentially be and all the pings that could be, and trying to limit it to just this server. So if you missed, I might be starting to when NETMA's starting a game. It comes out in 2 weeks' time. Starfield. I'll be playing Starfield here on this channel because I think I'm deciding to play it here on YouTube instead of over on Twitch. Lots of more stuff to know over on the NETMA Discord server. We'll see you there, and we'll see you next week. Until next time, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.